Hey, my name's Joseph. Today I'm going to tell you a story about a close friend of mine. He was a nice guy, but didn't really know what happened to him. We were friends, but he became a different kind of man. Didn't care about his job at all. He used to meet girls every day. He started drinking too much. And because of that, he lost his job within 3 weeks and got fired from every job after. His name is Smith, and due to not having any job, there was a shortage of money in his life, and he needed a job badly. I always told him not to follow the wrong path, but he wouldn't listen to me at all. One day, he came to me running. Smith said, "Yo, bro, you know I hardly got a job. They're paying me a good amount, but this is a little dangerous. I have to work in the hospital. Actually, it's at the morgue at night. What do you think?" "Oh, bro, great. If you still need the work, what's the danger in it? It's at the hospital." Smith said, Yeah, I should be able to handle it. So we hung out, had a great time, and then went back home. In the morgue room of the hospital, he met his co-worker named Jonathan. Jonathan was working there for many years. He was a Diner A morgue worker who handled the moving and cleaning of the corpse. Jonathan said to Smith, "Look, this is the morgue room. You have to write the details of the corpse in that register. Got it?" "Okay, I got it." Smith told me that there was a creepy room where all the corpses were kept. No one wanted to go, but I had to. Sometimes we heard some weird noises from that room. It had been 2 or 3 days while we were doing the same job. Again, he started to drink too much during the night, and no one even knew about it. Sometimes he even smoked too. He was able to do all the work on his own free will, and that's why he had no objection to the job. He also recently had a girlfriend named Amanda. She used to come secretly to meet him sometimes at the morgue. He told me that he even got intimate with her there. One day when he was doing the night shift, he passed by that creepy room. When he passed by, suddenly someone knocked from behind the door. He felt that someone was trapped inside and stopped there to see him. "Who's there?" The door opened slowly and his eyes widened. A man came out of that room whose body was very tall and terrible looking. There was no flesh on his back. His ribs and bones were visible, and his body and face were completely melted. Smith was freaked out and ran, screaming quickly. He didn't know from where, but all of a sudden Jonathan showed up. "Oh, you. I just saw a dead man over there." "Oh, there's no such thing. Nothing like that here. There's no one here. There's no need to be afraid. I think you might be a little drunk there, bud, and getting confused. Just keep calm." "You're right, man. Sorry." After that, the both of them got engaged in their respective work, and after a while, Jonathan went to him and started telling him that he was having a lot of pain in his back. Smith said, "Okay, well, that's it. You know I can help you with minor pains. I can give you a little deep tissue massage. Take your shirt off." Jonathan said, "Okay, well, let's see." As he took off his shirt, Smith's condition was completely deteriorating. He was numb. He saw there was no flesh in his back and only bones were visible. Jonathan looked exactly like the man he saw in that room. This meant that the person who he was talking to for so long and who he thought might have been a worker was a dead person. It was his ghost. He screamed, and the ghost completely turned his head towards Smith. His face was completely white, lots of scratches on his face, and eyes were whole black. He ran to the exit and left from there. He came to his home. He didn't go to work the next day. The morgue manager called him. "Hey, Smith, why didn't you come here today?" "Man, I'm not doing this job. There's a ghost in the morgue. I don't want to die." "Don't be silly, man. I know you're an alcoholic and a smoker. That's why you see ghosts in your imagination. Come here. I'll double your pay." Smith needed money, so he thought about rejoining the job. He went to the office and inquired. It was found that the man named Jonathan had been killed by his wife by throwing acid on his back, and he was trying to kill her in anger. That man's body was still kept in the morgue. After 1 hour, his girlfriend Amanda reached there to meet him. It was very dark in the room, and nothing was visible. Amanda said, "Oh, here you are, honey. Let's have some fun." He didn't respond. She said again in a slow, seductive voice, Come on, say something." He put his hand on her waist, pulled her towards him, and got intimate that night. Suddenly, there was the sound of the door opening. It was Smith. He was standing at the door. But then who was that with Amanda? Smith said, "Amanda, what are you doing here alone?" Amanda turned her head and saw that the man's complexion had completely changed. He had become completely white in color, and his eyes had become completely black. She screamed and ran over to Smith. "Ah! You! Who are you?" It was an evil spirit that only Amanda could see. I couldn't see it. "Do you see that? It's behind you." No. What are you talking about? Hey, have you gone mad? You don't see how long he's been standing behind you? She was petrified. She ran outside the room, and while she was running, her foot slipped from the stairs and fell down, and her body was badly injured. Her hand was fractured. She fainted. Smith called the ambulance. "Babe, I can't go with you now, but it's my last night here. I'll leave this disgusting job, don't worry. I'll see you tomorrow." She was admitted to the hospital instantly. Smith was sitting in the office. He called me. "Hey, Smith, how's the job going, bro? You enjoying the corpses?" Smith started crying. "No, I'm very disturbed." Then he told me everything. "Don't worry, you don't need to do this job anymore. I'll find..." But the call disconnected automatically. I called again, but didn't get through. I thought it was just a network issue. Smith understood that this was happening to him ever since he worked in the hospital. He was determined that he would leave that job tomorrow itself and start walking on a better path. He was sorry for what he'd done in his life, and he felt that if he had followed the right path, he would not have had to even do that job in the first place. The same night at 1 a.m., Smith was sitting in the office when suddenly he heard a voice, like something tapping on the floor. When he looked back, he saw nothing. We moved to the corridor. That same ghost was coming towards him. Ghost was like an animal on hands and feet. Smith screamed, "Oh my God!" He locked the door to the office and hid in the washroom. The water in the toilet pot started shaking. Smith looked at it. It turned red like blood and exploded like a bomb. Ah! There was blood everywhere. Smith was drenched in blood. He ran outside the office and was running in the corridor to the exit. But then the ghost was again coming after him. The ghost started moving like a lizard on the ceiling. Smith couldn't reach the exit. He left and entered the creepy morgue room. Smith was out of his mind. He lost his senses due to fear. Pure shock. Then he pulled the box where the dead body of Jonathan was kept. His corpse was there. Smith thought to burn it and everything would be fine. He kept the corpse out of the box on a stretcher. There was a small bottle of alcohol in his pocket and a lighter too. He poured the alcohol on the corpse. Then the corpse opened its eyes and stood up. Smith loudly screamed and fell down. "No! Oh shit! God!" The ghost jumped on him. He was screaming continuously. Then I reached and opened the door. I saw there was only Smith, no ghost, and nothing. "Smith, get up, man. Why are you screaming? What happened?" After disconnecting the call, I thought about meeting him at that time because he was very disturbed, and that's why I came. Smith started crying. "He'll kill me. I'm gonna be mad. I'm about to die." "No ghost is here, bro. It's just your imagination. Come on, get up, man. We gotta leave this place." Then we both got up, and both heard a voice. It was the voice pulling the box of corpses. We looked behind. That box opened itself. We both looked at each other. We saw 2 injured hands come out of the box, and that corpse suddenly got up and sat in it. He quickly turned his head towards us and jumped from the box. I was extremely scared to see that. Smith, it wasn't in his imagination. Everything was real. We ran towards the exit, and on the stairs, the ghost was moving on his hands and following us. Finally, we reached the exit. As we opened the door, the ghost was in front of us. We both screamed. We had to go back inside and run again. A security guard came there and heard our scream. He entered through the gate. He saw the ghost, and he freaked out. As he turned to exit, the ghost jumped on him and started to eat his face and neck. I whipped out my phone and called the police. We were trapped there, but didn't understand how to get outside the place. Then we ran into the office and locked the door and hid in the washroom. There was blood everywhere. The ghost came and broke down the door of the office. We only had one thing we could do. "Smith, there's only one thing we can do to save us, bro, or we'll die here today. Let's try it." "Bro, but what's that?" "We have to jump through the washroom window." "Oh my God, it's 2 floors up. If we have to, man, we have to. Let's go." The ghost was about to break the door of the washroom, and we jumped through the window. We were both injured badly, but away from the ghost. Half dead, I was able to call the police again. They sent an ambulance. We were both lying on the ground in so much pain. Police reached there within minutes. After some time, an ambulance also reached us, and we were both admitted to the hospital. Amanda was there already. Later, the police investigated it. They found the camera in the corridor. They checked the recordings of the cameras. The ghost was visible in it. Everyone was shocked. Now that morgue room is restricted. No one goes there. After a week, we were both discharged from the hospital. Amanda was also discharged after 15 days. After that incident, Smith had changed completely and became a better person. He stopped drinking, stopped smoking, and held down a steady job. I'd never seen such changes in him. He was really affected by that horrible incident. He got married to Amanda, and they both work for the same company.
My name is Rick. I'm a 42-year-old detective, but I don't investigate crime. I'm a paranormal detective, and I travel all over the world seeking answers from the unknown. One of the worst locations I've ever done is at an abandoned motel in Glasgow, Scotland. I have returned after a year in hopes to receive some closure about the thing that took my wife from me that night. My usual protocol is to do a series of interviews with the locals and other hunters who have done investigations. I have a team that goes with me and a camera crew that helps to set things up. For this, I wanted to go in alone. No cameras, no crews, no interviews. But my best friend Albert insisted he go with me. He and I are the only ones who know about this. I parked the rental car in the back of the building and we climbed in through a broken window that led to the kitchen. To say I was nervous is an understatement. The energy that hit me as soon as I entered the dark building, that stank of mold and rot felt as though a hand clasped around my throat. I took out my phone and turned on the flashlight. I looked around and so far, nothing had shown itself. I called out my wife's name. "Penelope!" No answer. In my peripheral vision, I saw a dark shadow rush across the doorway. I shined my light on it, but nothing was there. I looked at Albert. "Did you see that too?" Albert nodded. "Yeah, I did. I hope you find what you're looking for. This place scared us all." "I wanted to do this alone," I said. "You would have been a fool to have done it alone. I can't let you, Rick," Albert said. "I appreciate it. Anything for you, buddy." Albert and I treaded carefully through the building. As we walked, we could see bloodstains on tattered curtains, rat feces on the rugs, small dead animals all over the place. "This place smells bad," Albert groaned as he pulled his shirt up over his nose. "Good thing we got our shots from the first time," I said. Suddenly, Albert took a step and the floorboard caved beneath him, and he fell down to the basement. "Albert!" I yelled and went to rush downstairs to find him. I turned a corner and could hear a woman sobbing loudly on the second floor. I stopped to listen closely as I recognized the sound of her weeping. "Penelope?" I had forgotten about Albert and rushed up to the second floor. I walked slowly, my hands trembling as I held up my phone's flashlight to guide me. The sobbing grew louder, more intense. I followed the sound to a room down the hall. I opened the door, and like a dream, there she was, my Penelope. She sat on a bed, wailing in agony. I rushed to her side. "Penelope, it's Rick," I told her. She said nothing, didn't even look at me, just sat there and sobbed loudly. "Penny," I frowned and reached for her hand. I touched her hand, and it was cold as ice. "Penny, I haven't slept a decent wink since I lost you. I'm here now. You don't have to be in this place anymore." I reached up to brush her hair from her face, and what I saw made my blood run cold. It was Penelope's face, her body, her hands. But she was not my Penelope that I remembered. She looked me in the eye, and she had no eyes, just black holes. She flashed a sinister smile at me. Her mouth was missing teeth, and she had aged at least 50 years. Penelope let out a blood-curdling scream and chased me out of the room. I ran downstairs and remembered Albert was with me and that he'd fallen through the floor. I pried the basement door open and ran down there. I found the hole where he fell and looked around. I looked up to see Penelope floating in the air. She stared at me with those black, empty holes where her eyes used to be. I looked down where she stood and found Albert. The fall had killed him. Blood drizzled out of his mouth and around his head. I rushed to him and dropped to my knees. Penelope still hovered above him. My best friend was gone. Damn fool for coming with me. I came back with the last person I had, and now he's gone. I looked up at Penelope and she began to laugh maniacally. It was then that I realized what had happened. I heard of Scottish and Irish folklore. I've studied all of it in my line of work. My wife was no longer mine. I never got to bury her as she seemed to disappear out of thin air. A banshee is the ghost of a woman who cries in the night. She's known to warn you about a death of a loved one. I remember why those cries were familiar. I heard them the night this place took my wife. She had now become a banshee herself, the one to warn me of Albert's death.